Senator Milne. Order. Senator Milne.
Thank you, Mr President. My question without notice is to the Minister for Foreign Affairs, Minister Carr, regarding Ben Ziggia, otherwise known as Prisoner X. Minister, have you formally requested from the Israeli government a full copy, not just the published extracts, of Judge Kelly's report into the circumstances surrounding the alleged suicide of Ben Ziggia? If so, when did you request, Minister, when did you request that full report and information? Was it before or after your own department's full report on the issue, given you told the Senate estimates you wouldn't be doing anything until you got that report? And further, have you received that report, and if not, are you pursuing it?
The Foreign Affairs Minister, Senator Bob Carr.
Mr President, the Secretary of the Department of Foreign Affairs requested, before he furnished me with his report, all relevant information from the Israeli government, all information. And when I was last advised on this, it was to the effect that no information was forthcoming. There are aspects about this case that we have no capacity to answer. We haven't got the capacity through our mission in Tel Aviv to conduct an inquiry into the circumstances of Mr Ziggia's death. We've got no— sorry?
No, ignore the interjection.
I thought it might be a helpful intervention from Senator
No,
Abetz.
ignore the interjection.
Instead, it was one that tried to make mocking humour out of a matter of life and death and a serious matter of international relations. I, for one, am disappointed in the approach the coalition is taking. But to return to the question, I think the Australian people would like, if not every aspect of this matter of Mr Ziggia's treatment in the imprisonment revealed to the light of day, but certainly a good deal of it. But that is a matter for the government of Israel. We've made it very clear to them that we want a full statement of Mr Ziggia's treatment while he was in prison. I might say, as I've said before about this, Mr Ziggia chose to be a dual citizen. He was an Australian who went to Israel, lived there for 10 years, taking out dual citizenship. He opted to work for the Israeli government, and according to reports that have appeared in the Israeli media, reports that I can't confirm nor deny, work for Israeli security. None of these matters relieve us of an obligation to fulfil—
Time's expired. Senator Milne.
Thank you, Mr President. So, Minister, all information from the Israeli government, I presume, includes that judge's report. Can you now tell the Senate whether the cell in which Mr Ziggia was held was suicide-proof and whether it was under surveillance, or whether cameras were filming when Mr Ziggia allegedly hanged himself, given that the Israeli Minister for Justice says he doesn't know, and the Commissioner for Prison Services in Israel has said that, in fact, it was not a suicide-proof cell, or it wasn't under surveillance?
The question, the Minister.
Well, Mr President, again, this is relevant to my point. We haven't got a capacity to conduct inquiries about these matters from our mission in Tel Aviv. We can't summon witnesses. We can't ask the prison administration. We can't gain entry to the prison. We can't inspect the cell. We are dependent for any insights into Mr Ziggia's condition, into Mr Ziggia's treatment, especially in the last days of that in late 2010, on information the Israelis will give us or choose to give us. We do know some things. We know that his family had 50 visits to him. During that 10 months or so, he was in prison. We know that neither his family nor his legal representatives made any request of the Australian Embassy or any other Australian government instrumentality for further consular representation.
Time's expired. Senator Milne.
So, thank you, Minister. So, are we to understand that you accept the reports of the Israeli government and that's an end to it, or is there any further action you intend to take, since your criticism of your own department was that they failed to follow up on the guarantees that we received from the Israeli government? What follow-up are you going to take?
Minister.
Well, Mr President, again we will seek information, but let me underline again as well that Mr Ziggia chose to work for the government of Israel. If reports are to be believed, he chose to work for them in the area of security and intelligence. That's not something I can confirm nor deny. He chose to do that, if reports in Israel are to be believed, and he lived in Israel for 10 years with his dual citizenship. I think while we would seek to do everything to protect an Australian citizen in his position in future, with more attention to detail and a greater focus on accountability than was the case in this instance, there aren't many guarantees you can give where an Australian citizen makes such choices. Mr Ziggia went to live and work in a difficult area in a most challenging part of the world.
Send her back.